Welcome to Changing Lives on the Inside, United Prison Ministries International. Once again, coming into your home, your office, your pleasure vehicle, and I hope you're not watching TV while you're driving, but if someone's sitting in the RV and you're driving, it's okay for them to watch us on television. I don't know where in the world you are, because we go worldwide, and I enter into the homes of so many people on a regular basis. And when we're out and around, I see you and you say, "Oh, I saw you on television." And I say, "Where are you from?" And it may be Hong Kong, or it may be Australia, it may be somewhere else. But whoever you are and wherever you are, thank you for tuning us in, because we get turned on for Christ when we know you're out there supporting us with your prayers and your efforts in our behalf. I have with me today my co-hostess, Ellie Conrad. Ellie, how are you today?
I'm doing great, Shirley. And you know, it's so much fun to come into the living rooms and the RVs and everywhere else that our viewers may be, but it's also more fun welcoming them into our home right now.
Right, and you've got another good guest for us today, Ellie.
Oh, I tell you, today we have topped ourselves today with our guest. I tell you, this lady is on fire for the Lord. And what's so good about it is that she is using her talents and gifts to take her ministry to women everywhere.
Well, you know, women are dear to my heart, and I have known quite a few of them in my lifetime, having been in prison for over 17 years, with a large number of women, all sizes, all shapes, all dispositions, you name it, they're there, young and old, mothers, grandmothers, daughters, and wives.
Well, that kind of sounds like women's ministries to me.
It does to me too. So she's with Women's Ministry.
Yes, she is.
Let's meet our guest,
Okay,
Ellie.
okay. You all are just going to enjoy meeting Mrs. Laura Johnson-Smith. How are you today?
I am fine, and I'm delighted to be here.
Good. And you are from Montgomery, Alabama, isn't that correct?
Yes, Montgomery's home for me. In fact, I was born here. I received all of my education here, early education, my college work. I was employed here as an educator. I retired from the Montgomery Public Schools, so I've lived nowhere else but in Montgomery. And because of that, I have a tremendous support system.
And it sounds like you have done a lot with young people and with people of all different ages, because like I said, being in the schools, you were able to interact and work with young people. And then in your role as Women's Ministries Director for the South Central region, you're able to do just so much more. Tell us a little bit about, you know, how you got into this field and what has it meant to you?
Well, God has been very good to me in my life. He has been a guiding force, a power in my life ever since I was a youth. I had very strong feelings about loving the Lord and being His daughter. And as a result of this, He has guided and directed my life. And I feel that every aspect of my life has been governed by Him. I moved into the field of education where I had the opportunity to work with young people. And my career moved me to working with teachers, and I worked with hundreds of elementary school teachers, a lot of women. And from there, my church has invited me to work with women through women's ministries. And I am finding that to be a very rewarding experience. Women's ministries is a ministry for women, by women. We can't find anybody else who could minister to a woman any better than another woman.
That's right.
I think I could agree with that.
I agree with that too.
Wholeheartedly. Woman to woman.
That's
speaking.
right.
Absolutely. I like to think of it as sisters helping sisters.
Right, that's even better.
And sisters are special people. So because of this and my working with them, and we have chosen as our theme and as our goal and our motto to know Christ and to make Him known. Our aim is to assist, to encourage, to strengthen women so that they might know Christ on a personal level, and not only do they want to know Christ on a personal level, but they want to make him known to other people. So because of that, we have organized in a way that sisters are encouraged to have Bible studies in their homes. They're working with women, not only who are members of the church, but women in the community.
Now that's important.
And you know
that we don't limit it just to the church.
That's
that we
right.
reach out in the community, because that's where a lot of the hurting people that have a real big need are. And I like that motto, is because if we know Christ, it is our responsibility to introduce him to other people.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And you know, we have a great vehicle for doing that as well, Shirley and Laura, and that would be this packet of Bible studies that people can email us, can write in, and to order so that they can receive these types of lessons that they can go out and share in the world. Because you're so right, Laura, that we need to be able to know and to study to prove ourselves worthy.
Absolutely.
To then be able to take that word out into the world. And this packet of Bible studies, I tell you, this is really what will do it for people.
Okay, we give those to inmates in the institutions, and there's a series of lessons here that they get, and we get graded and send them a beautiful certificate. And I have to tell about one of these certificates, talking about educating people. We went to prison in, I think it was outside of Macon, Georgia, talking with a group of people, and one of the inmates got up, and this is after looking back at it, and I saw him go up and talk to the guard and go out. And this is an unusual thing, because normally inmates are not allowed to exit any program that's going on for any reason, but he just beseeched that officer. He had to get out of there, and I thought, well, he's got to go to the restroom bad. But it didn't turn out to be that way. He went out and he came back, and he was holding the certificate, and it was unwrinkled and it was beautiful with this gold seal and ribbon on it. And he told us he had gotten that 8 years ago. Now, this man was in prison. So when we give out literature that changes lives and educates people, and thinking about women's ministries, these would be ideal things for mothers to get and sit down and study with their children at home.
It's an excellent vehicle, and one that I know that if people are interested, that all they have to do is send a minimal $10 contribution, and we'll be sure to send them all of the materials that we're talking about today.
Well, that just covers our postage and handling for it. It certainly
That's right.
Doesn't denote the value of the book itself.
Oh, because
in
you
any
know
way.
what? If someone really tried to pay for this, they couldn't.
That's it.
You know, the value is too great. But in addition to the Bible studies, they can also get, now this is one of my favorites, this true story, God Still Answers Prayers. I tell you the truth, this is truly one of my favorite books, and I know that this would be wonderful for any woman to read, because it talks about a mother's love.
That's right. A mother's love for a son, where she marks a Bible, gives it to him, and he promptly throws that thing away.
I know.
But therein lies the story. It comes back home, and is he ever happy to have mothers back in his hand?
That's right.
All
Well,
right,
why don't we
back to
take
our
a moment?
guest.
Well, let's take a moment though, Shirley. We got to at
Okay.
least continue to tell the people about this book.
I'm with you, Ellie.
Okay, here we go.
You've heard the excuses. They deserve it. They committed a crime. They don't deserve help. They're criminals. We've tried everything. Nothing works. Nothing can change their lives. They're hardened criminals. Lock them up and throw away the keys. Give them life, the words of life, the Bible, the life changer. Read the true story of how the Bible changed the life of Harold Wilson. Read God Still Answers Prayer. It's powerful. It's true. Call 1-888-UPMI-123 to find out how to get your copy. That's 1-888-876-4123. It takes away all our excuses.
And I tell you, People, when you get this book, you will be truly blessed. But in addition to this book, going back to all of the Bible studies that I was talking about, I mean, just look, in this one packet that I just opened, you come up with all of these different Bible studies, galore, and then there's some bonuses in here too, Shirley. Look at this.
That's it.
The Keys to Happiness.
Happiness Digest, that's it.
That is a good book, isn't it?
It's a good book.
And I know that women and men, children, boys and girls, everyone will be blessed when they get this packet.
It's a good thing for women's ministry.
Absolutely. Do you know a number of women's groups have distributed Happiness Digest in the communities? Not only has that happened, but we have a special project that's going to be a worldwide project, that of submitting a lovely magazine. This is Women of Spirit. It's a women's magazine for women, written by women, and our project is that we will send subscriptions of these to the halfway houses for women who are making that transition, who are ready now to move out. They will have these wonderful lessons here and Bible stories and stories about the lives of women who have overcome difficulties, women who are making progress in their relationship with the Lord. And so we're really excited about this. All of us have made contributions, and others are making contributions now, so that these paid subscriptions can be sent to the halfway houses.
And that's wonderful, because I know women who are in halfway houses who have a spouse who is incarcerated. The fact is, there are a number of men who are incarcerated, and the women stand alone, and they need a ministry to them.
You're absolutely right. Women's ministries tends to help women who are single parents, whether that has come by the husband being incarcerated, or whether it's the death of the spouse, or whether it's just a mother with a child. Great emphasis is given to helping these women, and nobody can help them any better than women. Women have that caring, nurturing spirit about them that God innately put in them, and so because of that, women's ministries is helping to change lives of people inside our churches as well as people in the community. Women's ministries affords an opportunity for women to come together. Women of all ages, races, professional backgrounds, whatever the experiences have been, women are coming together with one common goal. And that common goal is to first connect with Jesus themselves, and then to help others to connect with Him. Amen. Not only that, but we're helping each other to grow and to develop, to use our talents and gifts as God would have us. You know, when the woman at the well met Jesus, she went and told all of her friends and neighbors, and she introduced them to her friend. That's what women's ministries is all about. Our having that personal relationship with Him, and then sharing the good news and helping others to get to know our best friend.
And that's what women do all the time. But there are men in prison who've left these wonderful women out there on their own. Let's look at one of the men who is serving time in prison right now.
This is inmate Robert Hall here in Eastland Correctional Facility in Clio, Alabama. Robert's going to talk to you today about something here in the Faith Dorm.
Good afternoon. This Faith Dorm is an extraordinary opportunity for several of the men here that I have personally witnessed change their lives. For myself personally, I've been incarcerated a little over 10 years. But for me, I thank God for prison. If it had not been for prison, I probably wouldn't be here today. I would probably be dead. I was a former drug addict, nightclub manager, just a real good person taking care of myself and no one else. For this Faith Dorm, it has transformed my life. I have been afforded the opportunity to worship, to go closer with my Lord, to help these men help me, which I thank God for. They're like my family. I left them for 8.5 months here about a year ago, and I came back to this institution and this camp just for this reason, for the chaplain, the teaching, the anointing that is here, the opportunity that exists for each of us to worship and grow closer as we see fit. We're none in this institution and in this dormitory are perfect, but we're striving for excellence. We're striving to continue in our walk with God. For me, personally, I have a long way to go. It's not a destination, it's an unending journey. But I do thank God for the opportunity this faith dorm affords us. I've been in many of the major institutions in this state. I don't appreciate and I don't like living in hell. This is a mighty step above. Yes, we're still incarcerated. Yes, we're still behind fences. But nowhere else can I worship in peace and harmony and feel the love that these men afford me. And I thank God for it.
I'd like to ask you a question.
Yes, sir.
I wasn't here when you first started talking, but what would happen, as far as you're concerned, if there was no faith dorm?
Well, I've lived with that. I've been incarcerated, like I said, a little over 10 years. I've seen the worst. No, sir. I did a little 2-year sentence in the 70s when I was just a teenager. Mm-hmm. I didn't learn a lesson then. I'm trying to learn now. I have a wonderful wife of 21 years and 2 beautiful daughters, 19-year-old and 15-year-old, that love the Lord with all our heart. Mm-hmm. It's only by the grace of God we're fixing to celebrate our 21st anniversary, and they love me dearly. I love them with all my heart. But without the faith dorms, I've seen men die in these institutions across the state of Alabama. I've seen men stabbed. I've seen men beaten unmercifully for a pack of 35-cent cookies. Mm-hmm. I don't know what would happen. I only know that I don't want to live that way anymore. I only have to live here. I can live anywhere in the state of Alabama. But as I said earlier, I left here and made the mistake of leaving here a little over a year ago. Mm-hmm. Stayed gone 8.5 months. That was a miserable journey for me. It was something that I had to go by and learn from. I went to another faith dorm, but I didn't have the men. I didn't have my family that these men are. Mm-hmm. And I was fortunate enough to be one of the first ones to walk through that door when this faith dorm opened, September 23rd, 1999. Mm-hmm. And when the good Lord opens the gate, I'll be one of the first ones to walk out.
God bless you, brother.
Thank you.
I tell you, Inmate Hall's story is so moving. And the thing that gets me is that he has a wife of 21 years. Talk about women's ministries. That lady sticking by him through all of the different trials and tribulations. How can we continue to let women know or to realize the importance that they play in the family structure?
You're absolutely right. I'm sure Mrs. Hall can be duplicated many, many times in society where the husband has been taken from the home and she is there alone with the children, having to face all of the responsibilities. That's where women's ministry steps in. We serve as a support group to those women. We provide for them things that we can provide. We refer them to agencies that can help them. But I'm sure that through our prayer ministry and through the other ministries that are associated with women's ministries, these women receive help in order to make it from day to day. I'm sure it's very difficult to have your husband incarcerated and you have to live first with the separation and then secondly with all of the responsibilities that go with being a single parent. So through our prayer ministry and through the various ministries that we're associated with, those persons are given some help. But let me tell you about an incident that happened just yesterday. I was in North Georgia and I was at a conference and happened to have said to the ladies there that I was coming here today, and one of them said, "Let me tell you, I have a very special friend at Julia Tutwiler Prison." She said, "I'm her pen pal. She's on death row." She said, "I have just fallen in love with her." She was a Caucasian, but she said, "This is a black woman." And when she told me the reason why her friend. And she said, she's more than a friend. She's my sister in Christ. When she told me the reason why that person was there, I immediately knew of that incident because I live in Montgomery, and that person is from Montgomery, and the incident happened right here in Montgomery. And I said to her, this is a small world. But she said that she is maintaining a constant contact. She's a part of women's ministries there in Georgia, and she has a connection with this woman here in Alabama and is making a difference. Not only is she making a difference in the life of the inmate, but she is connected with her family. She is remaining in contact with them. She's assisting them. She writes them. She has gone to the prison with the family to meet her friend. I tell you, women are working to help women who are in need of that special support. And I can assure you that this young woman needed all of the support that her friend could give.
Yes,
and she's a magnificent prayer warrior. This inmate in particular
is that
she's
right?
talking about
Yes.
is one that I called on when I needed prayer. I'd go down to death row to get this particular inmate to pray, because she is a person who knows God, has been in contact with him through the years, and has certainly depended upon him for the strength that she has. And to know that you have come in contact with someone who is ministering to her thrills my heart.
Through women's ministries.
Through women's ministry.
Yes.
And it just goes to show that when, as women, sometimes we can sit around and say, well, what could I do? How can I make a difference? Your story there just points out how just giving of self is so important. It's not about how much money we have.
Absolutely.
You know, it's about how much love we have to give. And that story is tremendous because so often it can be easy to forget those that are incarcerated, or to blame them, or to have a stigma placed upon either having the husband in prison and the wife is on the outside, or we've even seen situations, Shirley, where both parents or both spouses are actually incarcerated.
You know, loneliness is one of the major problems that we face in society today. We're all so separated, but women's ministries affords us an opportunity to reconnect with each other. There are situations where people have said, and I'm thinking about one lady in particular, she said, I'm 67 now. She said, and my, how that time has gone. She said, my church has all kinds of programs. She said, but I don't need a program. I need people. Mm-hmm. Now, one of my favorite songs is People Need the Lord, but I also think people need people. And so it's important that we connect with people. I'm sure these women who are separated from their husbands need somebody to come by, to call, to say, I'm thinking about you. Can I help you in some way? Not only persons who have been separated because of incarcerations, but because of death, and because many times once individuals become older and their children have gone on to other parts of the country. One thing that I think about women's ministries, we can be that support system for people who don't have support systems. And of course, that would include those persons whose children are no longer in the area. We're in such a mobile society now. I'd like to tell you about our daughter. The thing that has really impressed me about women's ministries is that because I was born in Montgomery, I grew up here, I have the support system that I've had since I was a child. And because of that, I'm very comfortable. But our daughter attended school in Columbus, Ohio, and because of that, she has been removed from her support system here. But the women's ministries group in the Columbus area stepped right in when her child was born because we were not there. Of course, I went shortly thereafter, but it was through the work of the women's ministries group coming in to assist her and her husband. They ministered to her. We have such a mobile population, and there are very few people who can say that they are still living in the city with their relatives where they were born.
So right.
And because of this, we need women to step up to the plate and help those women who are not around their biological parents or their extended family, the church and women in the community need to just step up to the plate and say, look, we'll be there for you.
Now, Laura, how can a woman who has watched this program today, who's in need of support or just wanting to find out how they can help women's ministries, how can they get in touch with you?
Well, I do have a website. No, not a website. I have an email address that they can, or they can contact you and you can contact me.
That's right.
Ellie happens to be one of the women's ministries directors in the state of Alabama up in the Birmingham area. She works with women and is doing a tremendous job of helping those women in her group help women in the church as well as women outside the church. We're nurturers, we're caring people, and this is what women's ministries is all about.
And you know, that's exactly what United Prison Ministries International is about. It's about supporting people and providing the resources necessary to help people live more fulfilling lives. So again, we encourage you to email us at office@upmi.org or go to our website. I think you'll find some tremendous information there at www.upmi.org. Shirley, this has been a great program, and Laura, you just come to us with so much passion and zeal for women's ministries. We thank you so very much.
It has been my pleasure being here with you today.
Well, I know this will be an encouragement to people out there in the audience to know that women can support programs and other people in a meaningful way. Just as we change lives on the inside with our literature, then your women praying can make a difference in the lives of people who are incarcerated, as well as the family members left behind, mothers, wives, children.
That's important, because we have to realize that just because they're left behind, they still have to become valuable parts of our society, and oftentimes this is when it begins to break down. So again, we encourage our viewing audience, please continue to contribute to United Prison Ministries International to support the work that we do to get this valuable information and resource information out to women and men who are incarcerated. And we also just encourage you to continue to share the good news of the Lord everywhere you can, whether you be a woman, whether you be a man. Ministry is for everyone. And again, thank you so much. We look forward to seeing you all next week. And don't forget, United Prison Ministries International, changing lives on the inside.